Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff. Hey guys, I'm Maureen.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Shelby.
I'm Bethany.
I'm Josh.
Tonight we are discussing The Resident Season 5, Episode 17, and later on we'll be discussing part of the final chapter of This Is Us. The Resident this week is called The Space Between, which is a cute little kitschy title, I thought. It was nice.
It was.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, let's start with Gigi's friend Peter. Like, by the way, I mean, so freaking cute.
She's cute.
Oh my, I mean,
Like,
her and
stupid
Peter
cute.
both. I just cannot get over them, but Gigi
Gigi's
really
cuter.
helped everyone see the bigger picture this week. I mean, this was a huge Gigi episode and I loved it.
Yeah, I love the way it started out with Dr. Gigi paging Dr. Conrad,
Yes.
She's learning fast. I mean, they just literally took the adorable level from 100 to 1,000 like super fast there. So
Yeah. Mhm.
Unbelievably
They
cute.
put on a tweet today that said something along the lines of, let's be honest, we'll do anything for Dr. Gigi or for Gigi or something like that. Like, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Oh
I think
my
that's going to
gosh.
be your nickname from here on out, Dr. Gigi. I think
I think it should be.
if they don't give her like a little lab coat or something like that, they're going to miss out on a huge.
Oh, how cute would that be? A tiny little stethoscope. Little doctor bag.
Oh my goodness.
We're just
I'm
writing the
sure
show
she
now.
already has one.
To be the resident, daycare, daycare resident, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, she's actually helping out her friend, and I think was pretty cool. I think, she's learning a lot from Conrad. I mean, I think she's picking up on different things, and maybe it's genetic. She kind of maybe has his instinct.
Mhm.
He catches on to
Yeah.
things, and here she is catching on to her friend being sick, and then of course I love the way Conrad he's like, okay, like 2 seconds in, yep, have his dad meet us in the ER. He's like, we're on this fast. He
Mhm.
Yeah.
picked up on it really well. I thought I didn't know where it was going to go. I was like, is this appendicitis?
That's what I was thinking.
That's
You know-
what that was where mine went. Where my mind went to was appendicitis.
It's such a common thing for kids. You know what I mean? It's just like
Mhm.
that's always what happens, and then it always gets to the point because as a kid you don't really say anything. If your stomach's hurting, you probably want to just keep playing. You don't
Yeah.
you don't want to do anything, and I guess it's kind of what happened here too.
Yep.
Kind of was upset, maybe complained, and Gigi caught on, but I don't think he was at the point where it was anything major other than his dad thought it was separation anxiety.
How sad is that story?
Oh, I know, right?
No child should ever be made to feel like they're going to be abandoned at any moment. There's
I know.
nothing that should ever convince a parent to do that to a child ever. I get the mom had a drug problem, but oh my gosh, that's devastating. I hate that storyline.
I know. It was so sad, but the dad was
Good dad.
so great. I
Mhm.
mean, just really I think for a couple of minutes I was like, do we trust him? Is he okay? But I mean, probably after a minute I was like, no, this is a good guy. Okay.
Yeah, me too. At first I was kind of like, is this if it's not appendicitis, is this a neglect thing? What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I realized I was actually kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Conrad's going to, figure something out. And then all of a sudden it was just like, no, this guy's being exactly the dad he needs to be, and as best as he can. It was kind of, how do I say, I don't want to say rewarding, but it was just kind of nice to see, so it felt good,
And it's kind of miraculous that this mom left them only 3 months ago, and this dad is handling it that well. I mean,
Yeah.
he's clearly worried for his son, but he's worried about him emotionally, which you don't see a whole lot in the shows. It was nice. It was refreshing to see to see a dad who cared genuinely for the mental state of his son, so much so that was the first thing he told the doctors. This is a problem.
He was how do I say, articulate enough to recognize that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like you said, it was only 3 months, so it had just happened, so it's something that, it's kind of like the elephant in the room, you know what I mean? It just pressing if there's changes in anybody, you know what I mean? It's because of that, it kind of seems. And then of course they do all those blood tests and then everything starts changing and it's like, oh boy, okay, this guy's got something even more wrong with him. Because it was so funny when he said, oh, the blood test came back and there's no, bacteria or, whatever else like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, definitely not a appendicitis, and it's just, where goes all our theories?
The one I had.
The one.
That was literally as far as my brain went to. It's appendicitis. That's it. Solved it. Done. That's as far as my
same. Head. Literally same. There was no other explanation in my head.
I believe Gilmore
like,
Girls.
Nope. And I was like, oh, well then I'm okay. Let's dig deep to all my medical knowledge.
The only way I was pulling that from was the episode of Gilmore Girls when Luke's daughter has it. And they push on the stomach and they're like, hurt. Like,
I was literally April Nardini lying in a hospital bed. I'm like, there he is. That's what's going on here. It's appendicitis. What else would it be? Yeah. So on the rest.
Oh yeah. I mean, me and Shelby have a lot of Grey's Anatomy training, as I like to call it. So we're pretty knowledgeable in medical cases.
I'd say that's fair.
I mean, I was in nursing school too, and I was an EMT, so.
Okay, where did you
Shelby's
learn?
actually qualified.
Where did you learn more, Grey's or?
There you go. That's the crew. Right there.
Grey's. That's only because Grey's has 18 plus seasons.
We were interviewing Tasso, and I said something along the lines. I asked him the question, something along the lines of, "So do you find that you can diagnose yourself now as if you're an actual doctor?" And he was like horrified at that question. No, I'm kidding though. I know you don't really think you're a doctor. I'm kidding. No, don't do that, people. Don't diagnose yourselves on these shows. So the thing was, I said, well, now that I watched The Resident, now I feel like I know all these things that are wrong with me. And he was like, what?
I feel that
as you have cancer.
I called it. Fair, I thought I had cancer at least 40 other times in my life, and I didn't. I was right one of the 40. That's all that really matters.
Exactly.
Now I can claim it.
Exactly.
Anyway, the one thing that I have a tiny complaint, and it's like, I know that we talk about how we want our shows to be exciting, we want it to be like edge of our seat kind of thing. And we don't want so much blatant reality that we just see sadness and destruction, because that's what reality is right now, unfortunately. We don't want that in our shows. We do want some reality in there, so it feels like you can actually believe it, you can actually immerse yourself in it. So I know that we complain about that a lot, but I wish that the last few episodes, there'd been something that they called a unicorn. This week it was called a zebra, like these super, 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 super crazy random things. And I know that Conrad is a master diagnostician, but the way he would diagnose and the things that they come up with were a little more believable before. And I feel like now they're just thrown in super rare things that don't make sense. And then they're talking us through it rather than showing us what it is.
Yeah.
So it just is like, it's almost becoming monotonous. And I don't want to say that because I love that show. I love this show and I love it. I love that Conrad does what he does. Mm-hmm. But I wish not every week had him coming up with some fantastically, amazingly beyond rare thing that they had to talk us through.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think when you do that too often, like you said, it just becomes monotonous. I felt like this episode kind of just sailed through, right? Yeah. Like there was some crazy up and downs. I mean, we'll talk about, some other things here after a while, but it just kind of felt like it just kind of was like, I don't want to say a bridge episode because I think there was a lot that happened in this episode, but it really did just kind of feel like you were just sailing through. It was just kind of what I actually binged this episode and episode before. So we watched them at the same time.
Okay.
And I just felt like the episode before, I don't know why, I just felt like it was a little bit more, I don't want to say interesting is not the word, but it was just, I don't know, it just kind of had a different pace to it. This kind of episode coming from, from the last one. But, I know, I mean, obviously, I like you said, they're trying to throw some, what do they call them? Unicorn zebras out there, some crazy stuff, because then all of a sudden the kid's brain is swelling. And to me, that was what was kind of funny too, because it was like, Okay, so we're moving on from the basics to okay, now he's got something else wrong, and then all of a sudden it's just like he's seeing double, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe he's just nauseous because he needs glasses. It's like he's sitting there going, you really have two heads,
Don't worry, you thought that. I thought, oh, brain tumor. There he goes.
Thinking, the kid's undiagnosed with, astigmatism. I was hoping for the best here, guys.
I like that you go the cheery route. Wow. I go worst case scenario.
I was thinking, just put some contacts on this kid and we're ready.
Contacts. Skip the glasses. Go right to the hard stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the edgy part.
Well, literally every single one of us on here is wearing glasses, which is
I know, I was thinking that too. The thing that was really redeeming about this episode, though, and about this zebra disease that Conrad picked out, was that it was Gigi who helped him get there.
Yep.
Diagnosis, like
she pretty much diagnosed him. I'm just saying.
Oh, because of their lunched. I've been saying, not their lunched. Like every time I say the word lunch now, it's how I'm going to say it.
Is that how she says it?
She added like lunched. Like
I didn't even notice that.
So cute. Yeah. She didn't even say lunch. Like she added the little extra.
I mean, that kid could read just about anything to me, and I would be like, oh.
I know. Like that was the cutest line I've ever heard her say.
That's funny. Like have her and Morgan Freeman just reading the dictionary.
Yes.
That's the next audiobook that Audible is going to come out with. It's Morgan Freeman and Remy reading the dictionary. That's amazing.
I just got the audio like visual.
It's going to be stuck there all night too. That's all you're going to hear is their voices.
Absolutely. 100%.
Oh.
No, but you're right. She did help with the diagnosis, and of course Billy's got to step in and, she takes her job kind of seriously.
Mm-hmm.
When they're, obviously they're getting ready to, relieve this pressure, I guess, from the swelling and everything like that. And like, she's ready to go. And I get it. It's brain swelling. You don't stop that. Bad things are going to happen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was a huge jump. It was just like all of a sudden this kid's seeing double and now he's on an operating table, with his skull half open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't watch him put the drain tube in, but we know that they did it.
No, well, yeah, they did the small one, of course, and they were going to do the full drill.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so funny. It was the perfect timing, and of course, I know it's scripted, but it was very well done. I think in that case where it was kind of like, I don't know why I just kind of felt like Gigi was like saying, well, I don't know why this is important, but I just have a feeling it's important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that again, of course, obviously it's scripted, but I feel like that's more of them trying to say that, hey, you know what? She's got the same instinct as her dad.
Mm-hmm.
She's got that gut feeling, here and there.
Yeah.
And like you said, they lunched, and helped them figure.
A little lunch story. That was just so cute.
I know.
I loved it when she started solving the puzzle, kind of like how Conrad does some weeks, where you can like see him like talking out the problem and the resolution, and that's kind of how Gigi was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I really did enjoy that parallel between them two, but like you said, it was just a little bit unbelievable. But overall, I thought it was cute.
I did like when she was telling Conrad that, because Conrad, one of the things that we like so much about Conrad is not that he's just good at diagnosing, but he takes every piece of information that people are giving him, even if it's not about, even if it's not like specifically related to the case, he takes it all in and he like analyzes every piece of information.
Yeah.
And Matt Zuckery does a good job of displaying that. And that's one thing I liked, is that his character, we see that a lot rather than we're told a lot in this. Because that was my complaint last week, was with him and when he was talking about grieving Nick. Well, we didn't see you grieve Nick, so we're just being told that you're grieving Nick again. Like, show me.
Yeah.
And this week, when Gigi was telling him all this stuff, you could see the wheels turning, because he would stop and he would look at something and he would like do the squinty thing with his eyes where he's thinking about it. So it was nice. It was nice to see him recognizing that his, not just dismissing what Gigi says, but analyzing every piece of information she's giving him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was good as far as like, you know, the classic Conrad reaction, even though it said a little bit more, it was a unicorn, but it was a good way to see him in that action.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you also about his nonverbal, you know, you could just see it, because Gigi was involved, it just meant so much more to him.
Yeah.
And it was the level, you know, it was Gigi's best friend. He wasn't just doing this for a patient or a friend, he was doing it for Gigi. So like he was putting that as well. And so that was cool to see, you know, and I think that, you know, intensified, you know, everything was just heightened because of that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I do think that he probably paid more attention because it was Gigi. Yeah.
And she's with him every day.
Yeah. And not that he would have, you know, not paid attention to any other patient coming to him, but it's like, you know, he's got to know his daughter. You know what I mean? So if she's telling him something, he's picking up on it. You know, it's just like, hey, this is serious, or, you know, there's, you know, something here to this, you know, where he can, you know, unconsciously vibe.
And there is two other things that we learned about Conrad. There's, I don't mean to keep bringing up Gilmore Girls. I don't know if it's just because it's Matt or what, but in Gilmore Girls, when Lorelai and Christopher get together, remember his stepsister voice? It's like, I have an awesome stepsister voice when he's talking about reading the books to his Gigi.
Yes.
And that's the exact voice Matt used when he was talking to Peter when he was in the MRI machine. Like all I could hear was Christopher Hayden's voice doing the stepsister's shoe. That's all I could hear. So, and it was for Chris's Gigi. So just kind of floored me. But the other thing is that when he came down to the nursery, daycare, and the teacher said, usually when I text you, it's for something fun. So they're still in a relationship, clearly. So that's still ongoing. And that was something that we hadn't seen her. So we just kind of thought it was going to fall off, but they're still trying to weave that in at some level. That in.
I mean, they mentioned him a few weeks ago with whenever Conrad and AJ were working out. That's probably more than a few weeks ago now. In my head, I'm saying a few weeks ago. So, but they mentioned her there, but yeah, I mean, we really haven't seen anything since then.
I didn't catch that. I didn't realize that she had said that. I mean, I did, but I didn't realize that that's why she'd said that. So that's because I do feel like they're trying to get him to kind of move on in some way, but I just wish they would show it a little bit better, you know, other than
that's not surprising, you know, exactly. And maybe that's why he's probably having another wave of grief, because he's starting to move on, and it's just another real his loss of Nick. But we're not seeing all of that, you know, bits and pieces here and you know, so they haven't shown that to us, and I'm hoping that they'll eventually take some time to kind of focus on that aspect too. You know, you have the patient of the week, you have the mystery of the week, but then you also need to kind of like make sure that you're following all the aspects of the characters too
that we fall in love with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why it's fallen a little flat for me, is because we aren't seeing any of their personal outside time. We haven't seen them in weeks. It's just patient care. That's it. And that's an interesting aspect. I don't understand Dr. Lingo, and I don't like medical shows because I particularly like seeing blood and surgeries. It kind of grosses me out. I like The Resident because of the characters that they've created and the relationships that we've watched them form through this high tense situation. And I don't think we're getting enough of them relationally.
No, and I think a lot of times too, when you have a show like this, you do set yourself up for not failure, but it's like for, how do I say, disappointment or lack of expectation sometimes, especially when you call it The Resident, right? You know, you're following a resident that's no longer a resident. You know what I mean? It's just like, so you sometimes have to kind of weave your way around things, you know, and hopefully have a good outcome, you know. And then of course, I really feel like this show took a huge and I know we've mentioned this before in other podcasts, but I just really feel like this show took a huge hit because of COVID. I mean, I think I think it's pretty evident. I think it's still pretty evident, you know, and who knows, you know, if it'll ever kind of catch back up, you know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel. I don't know if that, but that's kind of what I'm sensing, you know.
Part of the new normal, and you have to try to make your way back to the old normal, which you'll never be at again, but at least have a new equivalent of that, you know.
Yeah.
So while all of that was happening at the hospital, Devin took the other residents on a field trip to your home.
Can
So
someone explain to me why that happened?
I don't understand this at all.
Before we get into that, though, can we just give a shout out to Vicki Lawrence, though? I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, I was just like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's Mama.
What do you know her from? I'm curious, because we had this discussion last week.
Yeah, I know her as Mama from, what is it? Yeah, so
Mama's Family?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, so I thought she did an excellent job. I mean, I thought it was so cool. But yeah, Mama's Family, shout out to Vicki Lawrence. But the field trip, I think, was the objective of it was, I guess maybe what happened is to try to get more residents interested in geriatric care.
Is that something that happens though? That you just take your residents on a field trip to a nursing home?
I guess if they want to.
I think it's because Kit had her friend there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They were going to visit.
I forgot her friend. Still, it's weird to take your whole resident team over there. Like, what if they're needed in the hospital?
Yeah, they never do that in Grays.
No.
I think it was because of Kit's friend. So if he wasn't living there, they probably would have either, met him some more. He probably would have come to the hospital and met with him. But since he didn't have that ability, I think they came to him. But yeah, it's a little in the bus and everything. I felt like they're gonna have juice boxes or something after their field trip.
It was Belle, Kit, and Devin went with him. So I mean, that's the.
I mean, it was a little bit weird to me because all of a sudden, like, Devin was so like all about
geriatric
care, and I'm like, we have literally never heard him talk about this before. Like, where did all this love all of a sudden
maybe
come
it was
from?
about him getting them to love it rather than him actually loving it.
But where did that come? This is what irritated me about this week, is just because I felt like it came out of nowhere and it wasn't relevant. But I do have to say, I think that they did that because we're fighting the pharmaceutical.
Yeah, that's
and I think that was the entryway, but it was just it felt odd that Devin was so like pushing all of a sudden. Like, they maybe should have like led up to it. Maybe mentioned like a comment or two in the prior weeks.
He was probably so gung ho about it is because of his dad.
Oh yeah, so, I forgot his dad.
That's true, yeah, because he passed away and he felt that he didn't get the care that he needed. So maybe if somebody was out there advocating for him, then maybe he would have had the care that he needed.
It could have been.
And I think I just took it as, okay, this is just the next step in their learning. So it's like, okay, here's a group of residents, and we've seen them in other previous episodes handling different things. They've been on the floor in the ER, and I'm like, okay, so this is just the next fold, like their next aspect of learning. It's like a kid. Okay, I went to math class, now I'm going to history class. I just kind of took it that way. But I mean, I don't know. I think it just maybe because it was just something to cover, because they're still looking like he was going to be a primary care.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have their options open. They're still looking at different avenues that they could take. So I just took it as, hey, this is their way of like, here's an option that's open for you, and then maybe next week we're going to look at this other option and see. I don't know.
That makes sense. Admittedly, this is the longest I've ever watched a medical show. So I have never seen this happen before, but this is also the only medical show I've invested 5 years into. So I don't know, maybe this happens more than I realize it happens. It just was like field trip, weird.
A lot of medical shows, but I have never actually seen them take a field trip to a nursing home. I've seen episodes of shows where they've gone to nursing homes for certain reasons, but never just a field trip. I will have to say that. I mean, I don't watch Grace though, so maybe if it happens there, I mean, I don't know. And I haven't seen all of ER, so.
Oh my gosh, ER, that's a throwback.
maybe that's why their reaction is kind of crazy too, because they're like, we're going somewhere, and then they get there, they're like, oh, we've been played. So maybe that's why they were acting that way too, like, this is not natural, this is not normal, and why is this happening? Because it's supposed to not be such a normal outing. It was something strange and out of the ordinary. But then, of course, once they get there, it makes a little bit more sense to them. Here's this really respected colleague, Kit's friend. They're more than just colleagues. You can definitely tell that, Belle, Kit, and this gentleman are all really good friends. And he's got a lot of wisdom to impart. Unfortunately, he's already at the stage where he's, in this facility, but, he's still helping them and being a doctor. And we get to see them there in his nice little, I'm thinking like, boy, this is a nice place to eat. I was like, look good. And then you get to meet, the amazing Vicki Lawrence just shows up, which was just such an amazing surprise to just see her there. I wasn't expecting to see her, so that was really cool. And the whole time you're thinking, okay, they're here to get, knowledge from him, but it's the resident, right? It's never going to just end right there, and he's already ill, so something's gonna happen, and I'm already bracing myself for something horrible medically to happen to this guy, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there goes Vicki Lawrence. And I was excited. I'm like, oh man, she's so young and spry, and she's gonna, we don't have to worry about her. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there she goes. Definitely a scary, surprising moment. I was not expecting it.
That was a little bit of real moments that I'm sad that Vicki Lawrence died, but I felt something when that was happening. Yeah. It's been a while since that happened on the show, because again, I feel like it's a lot of telling, not showing. So they got us invested in his character, and it was an excellent actor to get us invested into, because we all love Vicki Lawrence. So when she died, I actually felt sad, which should be the goal of that. And it was a little bit of reality, but it was mixed with feeling and a new thing to fight. So
yeah.
It's to see that, and they were late. And I think the purpose that it served was, this new resident. And of course, I kind of feel like now that Trevor's gone, it's almost like he was almost the value of Trevor, of being arrogant and then having to learn the lesson through losing his first patient. Here he was so arrogant, and she's not worth my time. I'm going to go find Dr. Austin. And then
his thing, though, I need to point out, his thing was not that he was arrogant, is that he thought he was too stupid.
Oh yeah.
And that's been the running thing with him since the very beginning. Even Trevor mocked him about being too stupid.
Yeah. But he still didn't put the care into that patient. It's almost like, even though he did think of it the opposite, like he was not, hard enough to care, but he could have at least said, hey, you know what? Not because I feel this way, but this patient is deserving, and maybe I'm not good enough for her, or how can I do this so that my, where I'm hindered doesn't affect her. It just was kind of like and he was probably just frustrated with himself, but it was just a moment of, I'm just going to walk away from her, or the word Devin used, I think, was desert, that you deserted, so he was willing to desert her for whatever reasons they were. So to see him come from that, and then of course, to come through that whole episode at the end, he just did a complete turnaround, so and he was really good at portraying that too, because you could see it as his mind was changing from A to B, and see all of that, and diagnose her, and from not caring, and then going through all of this with the medication, and Devin convincing him. And I think that was kind of like almost a resolution of Trevor being gone. And now you get a new resident that you get to see that same kind of transition with, you get to see him make that leap.
They really took us down a rabbit hole with that medication.
Oh, yeah.
That was something else. I mean, I thought it was going to have a bigger payoff. I mean, I know that they were trying to work all that out. And I was going to be like, oh, they're going to find the one key, and it's going to be this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then, of course, it ended up not being the medication at all. It was like
stupid doctors.
And the medication matched the problem.
Unfortunately, though, I think that happens a lot, like in real life.
Yeah.
I know, like, from working in nursing homes and stuff, a lot of times, one, the caregiver of the worse off person usually passes away first, and then the worse off person usually dies like shortly after that because that person was taking care of them. And the whole medication thing, like a lot of times, especially in nursing homes, now granted this is a TV show, but especially in nursing homes, like if you have like behavior issues, or like if you complain about something one time, they just get drugs for you, and then like you're on them, and then no one's checking up on you like after that, because you're not going to the doctor regularly because you're in a nursing home and they're supposed to be the ones checking on you. A lot of people fall through the cracks in nursing homes, which is really unfortunate.
It is.
Cool to hear that. Yeah, to see that. At one point I was thinking, man, of course depends on environment and you know, as simple as this, but when I heard that, I was like, man, I think I'd go to somebody for help. Like, instead of just taking the next drug and the next drug, I would have stood up and be like, well, wait a minute, like, is there a different approach? Can I fix this through diet? Like, let me change my diet.
But at a certain point too, when you're older, you just don't want to keep going back there. So you're just going to do whatever they tell you. My grandma had the same thing. She wasn't in a nursing home, but they just kept giving her stuff to, you're old, we can't keep doing surgery anymore, we can't keep doing this. My grandma had like 15 surgeries in her life from a car accident that when my dad was 5, and she had like several surgeries. And there came a point where like, we can't keep trying to fix you, so we're just gonna treat the symptoms. We're just gonna try to make you feel better. You're old, so your life is not as important. And that was kind of what it felt like at first. So she stopped going. But at that point, because they refused to do anything else, it was, I'm just gonna do what you tell me because I need to feel better.
Yeah.
Well, and I think people trust doctors more than they should. And
probably.
I think that people of a certain age or from a certain generation trust them even more. You know, you come from a generation that you know, how do I say, there was less, you know,
Google.
Yeah, less Google. A lot less Google, and a lot more honest people, you know, in general, and probably a lot more honest doctors that weren't trying to, you know, push a certain medicine or push a certain surgery that would get them paid more, or, you know, there's a lot of aspects from that that weren't there, and so you trusted them. You know, there was doctors that were in it simply because they cared, and you know, and there's still a lot of them. I mean, they're probably the majority, but not everybody. You know, and sometimes that happens. And just like you're saying, some in nursing home, people get neglected, and I think that, you know, if a doctor's, you know, sees 100, you know, 100 people, they're not giving the same attention, you know, that they would for, you know, somebody else, you know, or a regular visit, you know.
Absolutely. And it's just devastating to see that. And I think it kind of piggybacks off of the previous week's episode, you know, with their pastor friend, and he has this doctor who is obviously crooked, you know, and so he has a situation, and then now you see it's like almost a different form. Maybe they had different intentions, but you're seeing it here, you know, they're just, as we're saying, here, take this medicine, take that medicine, and just kind of pushing her along. And, you know, it's devastating to see that, but of course it kind of brings attention to that. And as it did for, you know, this new resident and Devin, to help realize that he you created somebody who's willing and able to advocate for geriatrics that wouldn't have before, that was willing to walk away. And now suddenly he's convinced to see the whole picture and to really pay attention to what's going on and how to truly help this person, instead of just, you know, masking it, but, you know, finding a cure, which he did. Too late.
Genuinely felt bad for him though when he came around the corner. He's like, I'm so excited to tell him, I can't wait, we're gonna save her. And he was too late. Like, I genuinely felt bad for him.
They just kept talking, and you can see
Belle and AJ were just like,
AJ just like, man. Okay, just stop talking.
Not having to to him.
It's a rare moment when you see AJ not willing to burst someone's bubble. But AJ was like, man, I don't want to say anything.
Yeah. Because it was like a new doctor was born in that moment, you know, and he found what was wrong. He knew how to help her, and it was an easy fix, and she was going to live, you know, and it just adds to the tragedy of the situation, but it also adds to the awareness. So that it doesn't happen again to the next person. And he's just going to you know, how many lives in the future will be saved by that doctor because he went through that experience.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say that, but you know, it just was just heartbreaking. And of course it kind of balanced out, you know, here's the child that was going, you know, you're thinking, is he gonna die? You know, even Gigi's like, is he gonna die? And Conrad this. And then you're holding out hope for Vicki Lawrence, and you're like, oh, she's gonna be fine. It's the resident, they're gonna save her. And even in the way they showed the ER from showing one, you know,
I did like that transition there, by the way.
Me too. Yes, it was so cool to see it. It was like both sides of the spectrum. Don't know which way it was gonna go until the very end. You know, one was life and one was death. You just didn't know, and I think it was a little bit unexpected because they were pushing towards Vicki Lawrence surviving, and then it was just heartbreaking in that moment. It was pretty crazy.
That's a good point. There was kind of like a flip flop, you know, like you said, opposite ends of the spectrum. There was kind of, you know, it was a neat transition, and obviously they haven't done that before, but I guess it did kind of have some meaning. It wasn't just just to look cool.
I do think that a lot of the things that they do in terms of cinematically and directorially, they do have a lot of meaning. I think that's one thing that the resident, it is one of the things that the resident is good at, is having those little nuggets that are, well, like I say, nonverbal things. But I think that that's a really good point with that. And you also see the difference in the room with Peter. It was Billy's like, I'm gonna cut in, and Conrad's like, wait. And then you see in the room with Gloria, it was Belle saying, I can't do this. AJ, I need you to come in. So there's that tension in both the two people who are involved in the care, and you saw that aspect of it too.
Yeah. The other thing that I enjoyed too is, you know, the evolution of Belle, because he admitted that he couldn't take care of that and he called someone else in. And him and AJ, they were kind of on the rocks for a while too, if I remember right. I don't know if they've made up or not now, because weren't they both going for the same position or something?
They were, but once that position went away, they were fine with each other again. Because it was, Kit was going to give it to Billy, and that's what AJ and Belle bonded over. Was that one?
But either way, he admitted that he couldn't do it. And you know, when the whole show first started, he kind of felt like he was Superman, which was where his downfall was, to be honest. So I mean, seeing him actually admit that and calling someone else in was really nice too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've always just, I think that's one of the favorite redemption stories that I've ever seen. I don't think a show has ever gone that far in showing a redemption story, and I think it's absolutely incredible to see that. You know, now he's the caring character instead of the villain, and you know, taking down the villain any way you can. You know, and in this case, they took the villain out, but you still got Belle. You know, and that was really cool. Yeah, I really love a good redemption story, and this actually allowed Belle to have a positive relationship, you know, with the rest of the cast. And before he was their enemy, now he's their friend. He's like family, you know. And speaking of relationships and family, you got Lila and Padma and their story. They're ready to look for a donor, and it's kind of a scary moment.
Still cannot get over this storyline.
It's wild.
Find a different way to be an adult.
This is cracking me up.
Child, you know, it could have been.
Hey, if Dr. Nolan had to get involved,
if it got to that point, precautionary.
You gotta be rethinking a lot of things. You got, I mean, not just a few things. I mean, a lot of things.
When she pulled Dr. Nolan in.
My favorite is when she's like, think about it. He's like, wait, think about what? No idea what he just helped do.
So I was a little bit mixed up by this because Jeanette took it that they were trying to get Dr. Nolan to donate his stuff. And I thought that they were like making an example out of him.
That's exactly
it was,
were.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, because they wanted, Padma was saying, see, Lila, he could have the perfect bio that you're really interested in, but it's someone like Nolan.
Yeah.
Which I mean, Nolan's awesome.
Yes.
All the examples though were just killing me.
I will
You
say,
speak French?
what did he say? Je suis Rosetta Stone.
That's exactly what he said. I'm like, okay.
Trombone prodigy. Hey, I got a standing ovation at my 9th grade recital. Or was it 5th grade?
I think it was 5th grade.
9th grade.
Was it 9th grade? Okay.
I think it was 9th grade.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I was laughing so hard during that whole part.
You're 6'3". Well, I have to slouch a little bit.
So for all the things that I said that are bugging me about these, there were several times in this episode where I laughed out loud, and Nolan was a big part of that. Give me more Nolan.
Oh my gosh, please.
Give me more Nolan.
I mean, we all know that the Grey's Anatomy people are like listening to our Grey's podcasts. We need more resident
they might be
people.
too, because last week I said I thought that dude was gonna die. I think it would have been better if he died, and this week they killed Gloria. Sorry, I killed Gloria.
No.
Dang it.
Better than Kate who killed Nick. But I was watching, my daughter came in on the tail end of, or not the tail end, in the beginning, I guess, of The Resident. She had just come off the bus and I was trying to watch it. And so she thought it was a dating app. And she was like, I would definitely get the voiceover. I don't know why wouldn't she want to hear his voice? And why are they all baby pictures, Mom? Isn't that weird for a dating app? Like, I don't know how to explain this to you, what is going on right now. But it's not dating. She's trying to have a baby. With what? Oh dear Lord.
Oh boy.
No, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
With the babies?
She was just very confused, but she was like horrified that this is how she was going about it. And when Padma, when they're going through the names, and she's like, "Oh, look at this one that I just found 3 seconds ago. He's the one. I know. I'm gonna do it."
Pulling her credit card out. I'm like,
you just found the profile 3 seconds ago. Do some research.
Grab that credit card out of her hands. You know.
She's cracking me up.
Although I will say that Lila is a little too in this, and she keeps calling it their egg. No, you gave it up.
I know.
It is not yours. Do not do that. I agree with you that your sister's being crazy, but you decided to give her the egg. That's on you. It's not yours anymore.
Yeah, I have to agree with you 100%. I mean, obviously, I can't have that same perspective, and I understand and respect that completely. But it just, to me, it feels like she's just being a little too possessive. It's like, if you're giving something, you kind of, especially that important, you have to give it wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're literally giving a piece of yourself. You know what I mean? It's just like if somebody was donating a kidney, you know what I mean? Or part of your liver. I mean, it's going to say, well, here's the kidney, but you can't do, X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? Or you have to stay on a healthy diet, the rest of your life. Well, you probably have to anyway, but it's like, don't force it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like I agree with that. And I think that what's happening there, like, I give my kidney to someone, and it was a little disheartening to watch them destroy it super fast. Like, well, I didn't have to do that for you, so I'm kind of irritated. I went through this big procedure and you just killed it. So that's a bummer. So I kind of get that aspect, but at the same time, like, I had no control over it because I did give it. And the same thing with her. Like, it feels like she's saying, well, if I'm going to give this up, then you're going to please me. No, that wasn't the deal that was made. You're the one who said that you might not want to have kids. You weren't sure you were going to free some. You gave them to her. You can't say she has to please you just because you're giving it to her. You can't have that aspect to it. You can't. And that makes me worried for when Padma actually does have the baby. Like, is Lila going to be like, this is part mine?
Yeah.
Especially since Padma's on her own. Padma's trying to have a baby to prove she's an adult, which is the dumbest way to prove you're an adult.
Yep.
Yeah, if you were truly an adult, you wouldn't feel like you had to prove it for having a child. You know?
Get an apartment. I can't stress that enough. Start with an apartment.
Yeah.
Get out of the van by the river and get into an apartment.
Get a cat.
I was gonna say, just get 2 cats and an apartment.
Yeah, let's just start out with an animal. A cat, not a dog. I don't think she's responsible enough for a dog yet.
Which is a scary
Cats
thought.
are mostly self-sufficient. Start with a cat and then lead up to a dog.
Maybe a lizard.
I just hope this doesn't turn into like a time jump. And
Oh.
like,
They cannot time jump us again.
Storyline.
but like like she's got the kid and then decides doesn't want it, and then now Lila's got it. Lila and Devin all of a sudden have an instant family.
Adopt it. Devin's happy, and Lila was happy because she didn't have to have the kid right away. But now Devin has the child he wants at the time that he wants. Oh, I hope not. I mean,
that would be a bummer. Devin deserves to have his
messy.
own. It does sound messy.
Any of the writers or the resident are watching this, please don't do that.
Don't do it. We will riot.
Do not turn us into Jerry Springer, man.
I was gonna say we're like novella or something over here.
TV novella.
We love Devin too much to watch him raise some sperm donors, baby. Watch it be Nolan, and Devin's gonna have to raise a baby that's part Nolan and part Lila.
Oh,
Well,
Devin would not be happy with that situation.
Okay. So I knew I was gonna miss The Resident on Tuesday night, so I was like, I'm gonna watch it on Hulu. But I was able to catch This Is Us live. But when I turned it on, there was like maybe 15 more seconds of The Resident. So I caught only like the last 15 little
AJ
seconds. And there was just AJ and her's conversation. And I was like,
I feel like, what am I?
Did anyone else like the first conversation that they had and AJ's reaction? When she was telling about she's going to teach a yoga class, and she's like, yeah, then we're going to go to the doctor so she can give me my eggs and I can get pregnant. And AJ was like,
what now?
Open mouth, just staring after her, like, what just happened?
I don't think we have ever seen AJ just broadside flabbergasted, and yeah.
I still like them two together.
I do too.
I like it. I mean,
I think that might be their way, or the writer's way, of like bringing them together permanently. Like, oh, okay, he's just going to be the donor, and then now suddenly they're really good friends, and then let that friendship grow into something more. I don't know, maybe not, but they're always, going to have that connection, because how can they? I mean, she could move away and then he never sees a kid, but I mean, they're in each other's lives. How is he not going to have interaction with the child? So then maybe that'll bring them together.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I was thinking. Like, is this the writer's way of saying, hey, we're going to bring them together, long term, versus, just, hey, we dated for a while, but no, maybe they're going to, now, I don't know. I mean, he never really fully pursued Billy. We don't know. I mean, obviously we loved Mina, but that's, ages ago. And now we want with someone, more long-term, something like what he had with Mina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, that they made a point of her saying, we're friends now, that we're not lovers anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to hit AJ a little hard when Carol dies. I think AJ is going to start looking for something that's emotionally connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it might fall on Padma. And can you imagine him having AJ, as arrogant as he is, having a child that he has no hand in raising?
No, that was as soon as she asked him, I was like, oh, that's the worst thing you can do, because he's going to definitely want to be involved in the child's life. Like, I can't see AJ like not wanting to be involved in a child's life, really, if they're around. That's just not his character. So if they did that, I wouldn't like it, because it would be so off base of AJ's character. It could be. Also, before we move on from Lila, I do want to discuss that this place that she's going through has already, was it 3 cases against them? Like, that's...
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
And it was for, one of them had schizophrenia and it wasn't documented. Another one had some other, like an addiction, and it wasn't documented. So one of them dropped out of school, and they said that they only made it so far through school, but they said they had a degree in it. I
don't know. Literally, it seems like it's a mail order thing. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like you go to a clinic, you go to a facility that, it's like, think Gilmore Girls in Paris and you're in the life. I mean, it's like,
I feel like Paris would put the fear of God on anybody, though, and they wouldn't dare lie to her. She'll stab you with a stiletto.
I mean, it worked for Neil Patrick Harris, so.
Yeah. It looks like next week might get a little bit more exciting. I know I'm going to be a fan because McCade is back. Sorry, Marie.
I feel like Shelby kind of stabbed me in the back with making me talk about this one. You do just because Cade's in the preview, or what? I'm not a Cade fan. I don't know if you, Josh and Beth, I don't know if you know this. I don't like Cade. I don't like her. Bethany knows this because she's been on enough with me where I've talked about her killing Nick. And that was not my idea, by the way. I need to reiterate again. I'm not the one who came up with that. I just really approve it.
Hey, you got a good gut instinct on these things. So
I said that Lila wasn't Lila when everyone thought, oh, Lila and AJ are hooking up. No, that's Padma. So you trust my gut on this stuff.
yeah, I didn't even know who Padma was at the time. So
nobody did except for me. To be fair, I didn't know it was Padma either. I just knew it wasn't Lila. But Kate is back and they are talking Medicare fraud. It looks like Conrad goes into a pharmacy. So it looks like they go into this basement to find files.
Yeah,
or something.
That's what it looks like.
And then there's a scary dude who walks in right before they cut away. You see him for like a millisecond, but it looks like a mafia guy walks in. So I don't know if the mafia like owns this place and this warehouse where all these files are, but she ends up in the hospital unconscious. And that's pretty much all that we see in the preview.
Scary
I
stuff.
can't
Cade has a
wait.
part in it. Cade tipped that guy off, and that's why he showed up there and tried to kill her.
No,
Cade's just taking everybody out.
no,
They're a threat to
she's
her.
good. We love her.
We
Hey,
do not
Cade.
love her.
Team Cade.
she's an,
FFC stands behind Cade.
No.
wow.
What were you going to say, Josh? She what?
So what you're saying is that she's actually an inside man for the mafia.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
I'll follow.
she's not.
Hey, look, I mean, she's got Conrad's like, spider sense going off like on extra high alert. So
That's because he likes her. He is attracted
That's
to
fair.
her.
He's not attracted to her. He feels confused by her
No,
because he knows that there's something off about her, but he doesn't realize that she killed his wife yet.
he wants to whisper sweet nothings into her ears. And
No,
you can't.
he doesn't.
You can't talk me
He
out
wants
of
to
it.
whisper death threats in her ear.
I don't think so. I think he's like, hey, baby, I want to save you from the mafia. I think it's going to be Dr. Hawkins against the mafia by the end of this.
Well,
I think
I'd like
we're
to
just
see
going to go
that.
totally
I'm okay with
fast and
that.
furious, insane.
cars jumping everywhere.
I mean, I'm down with that. All right. Well, that is all for the resident that we have this week. Next week, we're coming back at you with the pharmacy worker, and Cade is back. Big whoop. But we were going to say goodbye to Josh and Bethany because they aren't cool enough to get caught up on This Is Us yet. So we will see you guys later. Soon, yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. So we are back. We're diving into This Is Us, episode 6, season 11. Nope, that's wrong. Episode 11, season 6. And this is called Saturday in the Park. And that song has been in my head for 2 days because I just watched it yesterday. In the park, something, 4th of July. That's all I keep saying. That's all I know in the song. So this is a very emotional episode.
Guys, guess what?
What?
I cried.
What?
I did.
At what part? Is it at a Kentucky part?
No, it was actually Rebecca made me cry.
When she found Jack?
Yes, when she was running
I did
towards
too.
it. That is my grandson. I was like, oh my God, move. That's our grandson.
I did cry there.
I had like
emotional.
one tear. It wasn't like a boohoo
That counts.
fest.
It
but
counts.
It was a little tear. I was like, oh my gosh, like bravo, Mandy Moore. Like seriously, round of applause. This woman needs so many awards for her role in this freaking show. I mean,
we start the episode through Jack's eyes, and obviously it's a little blurry. We kind of see what he sees, and we can hear Kate and Toby yelling. But what I liked about it is that, I mean, parents fight. Married couples, they fight.
Yes.
And as long as it doesn't get violent, as long as it doesn't get abusive in any way, emotionally or physically, it's okay because it's going to happen. You have two different people with two different opinions who want to do things two different ways. It's going to happen sometimes. And I appreciated that Toby and Kate took it outside of their son's room, because when they came in that room, they were different people.
Yeah.
They weren't fighting in there. They were, oh, Jack, hi. They heard the sound. What are you doing? That sort of thing. And even when they were walking, like Toby was being silly Toby when they were singing the song to go to the park.
Yeah.
He was being silly Toby. He was mocking things, but that's what he always used to do. And didn't she say, I miss old Toby?
Yeah.
But then she said, either contribute or stop. Like, he is.
he can literally open his mouth and she's going to come at him. And I know we can probably, I'll probably get a lot of hate. I'm 100% team Toby. I just really am. I feel like he's changed for the better. I mean, the man had a heart attack. He needed to change.
Yeah.
They were struggling with money. Kate wanted to stay home with the kids. He got a better job.
She told him to take, by the way. He said, no, I'm not going to San Francisco. And she said, no, you need to go. She told him to go.
And it really frustrates me that, I mean, he's really gone out of his way.
We'll say I don't dislike Kate necessarily, but in this situation, I'm 100% on Toby's side. I think she's completely in the wrong. And even Toby said it to Beth, because Beth was like, we did a long distance thing. And he said, the difference is you moved for him. And she said, well, I did for this and this. And he said, and for your marriage. And Beth was like, you're right. I did. Because that's what you do. It's a partnership. And Kate is acting like there's no partnership. It's her. Everyone, I hate in the group where they're saying it's Toby's way or no way. There is no evidence of that whatsoever. No. Toby could not get a job in LA. He got a job in San Francisco that he considered not taking. Kate told him to take it. So he did it because Kate told him to. And then when he says, hey, let's move the family out here to where you told me to move, she says, no, it's not a partnership for her.
He's making strides to make an effort for them to be comfortable at that place. Like you can tell he has like the penthouse apartment or whatever you want to call it right now currently, but like he found a nice family home that is in a good school district for Jack, and like you can tell that he's actually you can tell he's actually thinking about this. And then what really made me mad this episode, I know we're going to talk about it later, when they were fighting outside and Kate told him like basically that he was a bad dad and stuff, like I wanted to jump through the screen and kick her. Yeah. Because he had issues at the beginning, but he has come a great deal. Yeah. Like he has come a long way. And just because he's not around as much as she wants him to be on her own doing, that's her fault that he's not. Yep. Now she wants to throw it in his face, and that's not right. And honestly, if they get divorced and stuff and she'll probably end up getting custody of the kids because he hasn't been around.
I mean, unfortunately, I think they'll have shared custody.
Yeah, but he's still working in San Francisco and she's in LA, so it's going to be the same situation.
Yep.
And I think that for her, it's okay if your kid has a disability to want to make it easier for them. That's okay. And when she threw it in his face and said, you've only seen his disability. No, in the beginning, he was researching how he could help his son to overcome this, to make his life easier. But he has stopped doing that. He hasn't done that in a long time. When it first came out, yes, because that's your parental instinct, is to make it easier and better for your kid.
Absolutely.
It's instinct. It's not, it doesn't mean that you're bad.
Yeah. And there's a difference too. Like, I feel like there's a fine line. Kate saying that he wants to fix him or whatever, but Kate's acting like he's invincible. Like, I was talking to my mother about this because I'm not a parent. Okay. I was talking to my mother about this and she agreed to, like, I understand the whole park song and like teaching him to be independent and stuff, but him knowing how to open up the door, she agreed with me too. Like, he should not be learning how to open up the door at that age.
No.
Like, there's certain things that he should, like, yes, the independence I get, but there's certain things that he shouldn't know how to do yet.
There should have been a lock high up on that door, and when they're not in that, when they're at home, that needs to be locked to where that if he does, I mean, yeah, you can teach him how to open a door. I mean, if emergency cases, kids do need to know how to open doors and escape or whatever. But with a child with a disability, sometimes you have to put extra measures in place for their safety. I mean, she's treating him a lot older than I think.
Yeah, I agree.
He needs to be. I think he's still learning, and he's obviously very intelligent. We really did see that with the shoes, and that, you know, he knows that the park is where Kate and Toby were laughing last, and so he understands everything going on. It's just, I don't know, it's so heartbreaking for me.
Is Jack 3?
I think so.
Okay, my 3-year-old doesn't know how to get to the park. I don't teach my 3-year-old how to get to the park. She doesn't have a disability. There's no reason for a 3-year-old to have to know how to get to places in town. There's no reason. You can teach them independence. Yeah, you want to line up the shoes? Great, line up the shoes so he knows, because my 3-year-old picks out her own clothes sometimes. I get that. Yeah, do that. Teaching them how to get around town, not a necessity then. It's nothing that you have to teach them. And so that's ridiculous that she is, and Toby's right there. It's irresponsible. I'm sorry, it is. I'm not going to teach my 3-year-old how to get to a park. He was saying,
and the park was farish away too. Like it wasn't like it was right across the street where they could just see him or whatever. It was a little ways down the road.
And across a couple different streets.
Across those roads, and like those cars were zooming past. I was like,
in
oh my
LA.
gosh.
Across multiple streets in LA.
When she's telling him that, oh, you didn't hear the click. After you already know he walked out the front door and the gate had nothing to do. The click had nothing to do with anything, but she just kept throwing it in Toby's face that, oh, you didn't close the gate.
Well, I see now that part I kind of get, because that's a panic reaction. And they both did something stupid there. Toby didn't lock the gate, because if he didn't lock the gate, he would have got out the front door. If she would have locked the front door, he wouldn't have got out the front door. So they both screwed up. And that happens sometimes as a parent. It sucks and it's terrifying, but it happens. However, her deal is, I'm the one who did things right. She cannot see that, hey, you were harassing Toby. And when Toby was trying to find a safe place to put Jack, you were berating him and telling him to get in there and to stop doing whatever he's doing and get in there. He's trying to do what you're telling him to do. You're not letting him do anything. And it was a little, the way he said it was a little rude-ish when he said, maybe it would have heard the click if you weren't yelling every second. It was a little rude, but it's accurate.
That didn't bother me at all.
But it's accurate. That's why it shouldn't have bothered anybody, because that's the whole reason he didn't, because he was trying to find a safe place to put Jack. And instead of recognizing, hey, Toby has my blind son, he's trying to find a safe place to put my son. All she's thinking is, Toby, get in here, get in here, get in. What do you want him to do? He's damned if he does. My
70-year-old mother's lifting a mattress right now. Well, then maybe your 70-year-old mother can take Jack.
Yes.
And I can come in here, but somebody needs to watch the child.
She wouldn't even let Rebecca go hold his hand to go walk somewhere. Like, you're in the house. What is she gonna do?
That made me mad too. And can we talk about Rebecca for a minute? Because she saved their butts.
Yes.
And she like, I know that her mind's going and everything, and they're trying to be cautious or whatever. But I think that this episode has proved she knows what she's talking about. Like, you obviously never stop being a mother. Yeah. She literally used her detective skills and what Jack told her in the beginning, in the jump, to figure out where he went. And while everyone else was running around the house in a panic, no one else would have figured that out.
No,
because everyone else was too busy placing blame and doing whatever.
Yeah. Rebecca was a freaking rock star. I mean,
the other thing with Rebecca too is that, you don't want her to be alone with your child for hours on end because you don't know if an episode is going to happen. But both of your brothers, your brother's wife, her husband, you are all in this house. It's not like you're leaving her alone with him. She can't ever be near her grandkids because she has early onset Alzheimer's. Like, come on. There's nothing that's going to happen when you're all there, unless you're saying you're so extremely negligent to your own children that you can't possibly keep an eye on it. But you're there.
And it bothered me too that they didn't even acknowledge the fact that she did save their butts.
At all.
Nothing.
And no one else went with her to the park either. Rebecca went there all by herself.
I know. I was like, where's everybody like running behind her? I thought like everybody'd be like, like
absolutely
running behind her. Nope. I was like, what do you mean? Where is everybody?
And I think that the argument was like, even Toby said to Beth, he's like, I go in there and I say, be light, be light, be light. But and the reason he lets it all go is because she doesn't let him be light. She's so angry at him. And I really think the reason she's angry is because he said the only option is San Francisco. And how dare you tell her what to do? I'm going to show you. Like, how like, I cannot get over the fact that after you see that you're crying to your brothers, I just don't think we're going to make it. You're the one who's making it die. Yes. Because your husband, your partner, the one who you made a vow to stay with and be with through sickness and in health and good and bad, he got healthy and now you're mad. He got happy and now you're mad. And he's saying, listen, I can't do this long distance, but this is where my job is. This is what pays for us to live. I need my family with me. And for you to say, screw you, I'm going to get a better job there then. So I'm going to make sure I have to stay there. What kind of a human being does that?
One who is apparently just over her marriage.
Exactly. Yeah. And then she's crying to everybody else. I just don't think I can take it anymore. You're doing it. You are killing it. Your husband is trying to save it.
And her little smirk and I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but her little smirk when Kevin and Randall jumped in to their argument.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
guys, I wanted to punch her in the mouth. Like,
I didn't like them jumping in either. I was like, excuse me.
That.
Like,
no, I didn't like that either.
If a husband and wife are having an argument, like, seriously back up. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not, that was not any of their business to jump in the middle. They were not getting physical. They were having an argument.
Yeah, and then they jumped all over Toby when Toby wasn't even the issue. Freaking Kate was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like always.
They came in halfway through an argument
when
they don't have any idea what's going on. I get you want to protect your sister, but that wasn't protecting your sister.
No,
it wasn't.
Oh, it made me so furious, guys.
I don't think I was
so mad.
I don't think Randall would have tolerated Kate speaking to Beth that way. Do you think Randall would tolerate anybody speaking to Beth that way?
No.
Not Kevin, not Kate, not anybody. Randall would not tolerate it because he loves his wife. That's the difference. Kate is so angry at Toby that she just doesn't want to be around him anymore. And what they got so upset at is when Toby said, "Do you even want me in LA?" And that's when they're like, "Whoa, hang on." Like, let her answer the question. Does she even want him in LA? She doesn't.
No, she doesn't. And she should have just said no, and then it'd been over. I mean, I don't even know what next week we have to go through a whole nother Toby episode. I know this is a huge part of the story, and I know we have to get through it, but I'm already done with it. I am tired of it, and I am done with it, and I need them to just wrap it up and let's move on to ending somebody else's story on here, because
I think part of the reason is because like it's almost like they've written the whole show so we love the Pearsons so much that we don't let outsiders in. But this is clearly something that she's destroying Toby.
Yeah.
She's actively destroying another human being.
Yes.
Like after the whole argument and everything, after Kevin and Randall jumped in and stuff, the way that they centered in on Toby and like he was just all by himself and the face that he made.
Yeah.
And I mean, kudos to Chris Sullivan because he made that totally believable. But like the face that he made, like he's always felt like an outsider.
Yeah.
We've seen that. Miguel has always felt like an outsider. Beth has always felt like an outsider to an extent.
Yeah.
And this just kind of like topped the cake. Like, like, wow, like they're really taking his side. And then they're really taking her side. And then you see Rebecca kind of looking at it from like another view. Like she sees the three of them together and then she sees Toby all by himself. And like, I think even though she has a dementia or not, she sees what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I liked how she kind of, when Toby walked into Jack's room,
I was just going to bring that up.
Rebecca just kind of, I like their little silent interaction with each other. She comforted him. She did. And my heart got so warm and I'm like, thank you. Like somebody, I feel like everybody is so against Toby right now. And I'm starting to get very defensive.
And I think that they act like, because when they walked up on that fight, Kate was screaming just as loud at Toby, and Kate was even being a little more mean than Toby was with her words.
Yes.
But it's Toby that they got in their face at. That just blew my mind. She's being more cruel with her words. Mm-hmm. She's being more aggressive. She's being much louder about it. Mm-hmm. And then when they walked out there, Toby, he didn't even, like, he was talking quiet. It's like, I thought he was safe. I thought I heard it. And then she has the audacity to scream at him. Well, I'm sorry, Kate, did you lock the door that you always lock? Are you always perfect? No. And with that leak in the roof, she's harassing him about that. What do you want this man to do? You
Why
could not
didn't you
afford.
call a plumber?
Yes. You're complaining he's never there. You're complaining about how great your independence is without him, how much you're trying to instill independence in your son. Why don't you have a little independence if that's all you value? Call somebody. You didn't have money before to fix it professionally. You didn't have the money.
But you do now.
Exactly. So get
you
it
could
done.
have gotten it fixed.
Toby's been gone for months. And you couldn't call anyone in that time so that it breaks when you're the one who's home. Toby has to get a job in a different city, work his butt off to continue to send you money because you're only a part-time teacher taking care of your children. He's providing for you and he's killing himself to do it. And you still expect him to also take care of all the housework from a different city?
No.
It's nuts. And Toby, when they have that, I'm mad about this. Apparently, I didn't realize how mad I was until I started talking about this. I'm like, my face is getting flushed, like I'm getting mad. But in the last episode with Kate's part of the trilogy, when they went to his work party, the first thing his boss said is, Toby does nothing but rave about you. Yeah. All Toby does is talk about you. He loves you so much. When's the last time we heard or saw Kate talk about with her boss? She calls him up and flirts with him and give me a better job. Like, she doesn't talk about her husband at all.
No,
to anybody.
That broke my heart.
So she's literally breaking Toby. And I cannot get over the fact, and I know this was a couple weeks ago, but I cannot get over it. Why in the world, if you love somebody, would you be upset that they were no longer unhealthy and depressed?
Yeah.
I know we talk about weight. Now. I know we talk about you can be overweight and healthy, and that's great. You can. Toby was not. He had a freaking heart attack.
Yes.
He now has children that he has to take care of. He has to stay a father in their lives. To do that, he had to get healthy.
Yeah.
And she holds it against, like, is it because he no longer is fully reliant on her? Is it because she's no longer the more functioning one?
I think so.
And
I think because
that's not a relationship. Yeah. That's selfish.
Exactly.
That's so wrong.
But she liked that she was the bigger one. She was the one to take care of the things. Mm-hmm. She likes being that dominant.
Yeah.
And he's risen up over her now.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't want to rise up with him.
And when she was talking to Kevin and he asked, where's Toby? And she said, oh, he's outside pretending he doesn't know how to light the egg to avoid me. That's what you're going to say? You're not going to say that we're fighting all the time because I'm mad. You can't even admit that to your brother. You're just going to give the impression that Toby's just being a jerk and he's just avoiding you to avoid you. Like, really?
Kevin made me mad during that too.
I mean, I laughed a little bit at first. the lover's table thing. That was a little gross. I mean, if I were them, I would have been really grossed out. But Kevin's comment about Miguel and that doll, that was I'm fully in Toby's corner. And I think I'm with Jeanette that I wish I didn't know how this ended, because I can't get that image of him depressed in a hotel room out of my mind. And knowing that this is where
I know.
What more does this man have to give up? Even in all this, he loves Kate. That's why he's fighting for her. That's why he continues to come back. He loves his kids, and she's going to take it all away from him simply because he's not depressed anymore.
She's about to change that.
I can't believe
Good job.
that. I did.
Good job.
The one thing I did say that was probably a little mean is, glad you taught him how to walk to the park. Aren't you, Kate? Aren't you glad you taught him how to walk to the park? Good job, you. So technically it's more Kate's fault that Jack ran away than it is anybody else's. You taught him how to get there. You left the door unlocked, and you taught him which ones were his park boots.
And job. I mean, a child that young is not going to know the difference between I could just go to the park or I have to, he's upset. That's his happy place. That's where he's going to want to go. That's where he's going to want to escape. He doesn't understand the dangers of the world yet.
Yeah.
Being that young. And
the whole entire episode, I was like, not screaming physically, but like screaming in my head, like, he is not deaf. Like, he is old enough now to see that you guys are fighting. And obviously, and the thing that made me mad too, I just censored myself, you're welcome. The thing that made me mad too is that during the whole argument, outside, there was never that realization of, oh shoot, this is affecting Jack. Let's cut it out.
Yeah.
Like, they went outside, they're still screaming. Jack might have still been able to hear them because they weren't quiet at all. And there was never that realization of, this is really affecting our son. Mm-hmm. It was just all blaming one another. Mm-hmm. And
to be fair, Toby wasn't really blaming
that really first. Got me too.
Yeah.
No.
That's the key thing. Is
I think
that Toby, when he came out there, the first thing he said is, I thought he was safe. I thought the gate locked. He was blaming himself.
Yeah, he was.
And Kate jumped on the bandwagon to continue blaming him. And then he shot back with, you didn't lock the door.
Yeah.
But I think the other sad part about it too is that what they should have been doing instead is realizing that as parents, they both had a really hard day that was really traumatic for their son, but equally traumatic for both of them.
Yeah.
Toby seemed to understand that. And I honestly think the only reason Toby fought back the way he did is because Kate attacked him.
Yeah.
Because Toby came out there. Himself. Toby was in that room crying, sitting next to his son, crying and like sobbing because his son had to go through this. And because this was a terrifying ordeal. Kate wasn't in there crying. Kate was in there getting more and more mad, thinking of all the ways she could blame Toby. That's all she was doing. And then when they went outside, instead of saying, this is a really bad day. I'm sorry. You, Toby, I'm sorry that you had to experience this. Kate, I'm sorry you had to experience this. It could have been that if Kate was normal.
Yeah.
She didn't let it get
if
there.
They were partners.
And even when they were in the ER and I did cry a little bit when they were stitching him up. Oh, watching little Jack cry as he was getting the needle in his forehead. I didn't like sad. It all. And his feet were kicking. And you could see that Kate was still trying to be a brave face for him. Like, no, it's okay. It's okay. But it is okay to let a kid be sad. It's okay. Absolutely. If he's hurting and he's sad. And Toby was comforting him in his sadness, whereas I feel like Kate was trying to get him to not be sad. Kid's getting a needle in his forehead. Let him be sad.
Yeah.
And I think even that was overlooked. And the fight on the lawn really set me off. I really disappointed in the way that Kate is acting. I'm disgusted with it, actually.
I was already irritated with the Kate and Toby fighting in the front yard because one, I guess I had more self-respect for myself than to fight with my husband. How is the
front yard better than inside the house?
First of all, I mean, let's just let all my neighbors know that we're having issues.
But not Miguel and Beth. They can't possibly know.
No.
We've seen, though, it seems like Kate likes to make a public ordeal about things. I mean, she did the same thing at the party.
Yep.
And I don't agree with that. I mean, I feel like if I'm fighting with whoever, like, you do that behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be. I mean,
that's when you actually care enough for the perception of your partner.
Exactly. Because if let's say Ben and I really, I mean, honestly, knock on wood, we really don't fight. But let's say we got in a fight and I ran and told my mom exactly all this stuff he said. Guess who's not going to like my husband anymore?
Yeah.
My mother. It's just something you don't need to talk about, that kind of stuff. Sometimes, with your girlfriends, I get it, because you have to vent, you have to get it out. But it doesn't mean your friends are going to like that person, or your mom's not going to like that person, or
but the thing is, though,
your
is
aunt.
that,
I mean,
when you're fighting with someone that you love, if you actually love that person and you're venting to someone about it, as you're venting, you're going to realize, oh crap, I had a part to play in that too.
Yeah,
exactly. And you're going to acknowledge that. Kate doesn't do that.
No.
Because she wants Toby to be fully dependent and reliant on her. She liked being the one to make all the decisions, to have all the money, to have all the everything.
Yep.
She liked that Toby was less than her.
She did.
And now that he's not, now that he's actually he's living to his actual potential, she's mad. And she feels, I don't know if she feels left behind, but even if you do, that's no excuse. He's your husband. Be happy that your husband isn't dying.
Yeah. You're not being left behind. You just need to get on the train. I mean,
make a move for your husband.
Jump on it.
that was no more prevalent than when Toby had that talk with Beth. He said, you moved for your marriage. I mean, honest to God, she's got a low-paying job. Yeah, it's rewarding, but there's also schools that you could get. If Philip likes you as much as we know he's going to end up liking you, I'm pretty sure he'll give you a good recommendation. You can get a job at another blind school.
I mean, Toby even was researching the ones in San Francisco for him. Exactly. He knew how much the tuition was.
And maybe that's why she didn't want to go there, is because she's already like, no, Philip's the guy for me. He's damaged. Because Philip is clearly damaged. I mean, the jokes he makes, like, they're very self-effacing. So,
see, I don't know. I don't see anything like romantic too much with them yet. I know
we've seen a couple already.
Have
that
we?
one where,
the
one where it was her birthday, and all the kids sang happy birthday to her. And then after some play, she called him, and they were there together.
Yeah, I remember that too. Okay,
so
you're bringing it back.
I don't think like she's. I think it's just in the because she's so unhappy, and I think she's subconsciously looking for something else already, because she's so mad at Toby that she's looking for something else. And so with Philip, I think that the fact that he is pretty self-deprecating, he's like, ooh, project for me.
I think so. I think she's bored.
I don't think she's bored. I think that she wants to feel good about herself, and the way she feels good about herself is to have someone who she views as worse off than her mentally, she can be superior to, which is a shame. Kate. That's going to and this is going to damage her kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think we already know that.
Yeah. And the worst part is not even that. I mean, yeah, she's going to destroy Toby, which is horrible. No, that man has been there for her through every insanity thing that she's done. Yeah. Every cruel thing that she's done through the past 5 seasons. And not only is she going to destroy him just because he's not dependent on her, she's going to destroy her kids in the process. And she's the only one not thinking of her kids. Toby is thinking of the kids and her.
She thinks about herself before anything. And also, I do want to mention that they did try to trick us with the big green egg, that's how Jack was going to get hurt. And that is not how he got hurt or got that scar. I don't feel like it had anything to do with the big green egg.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to come out next week?
On it that day.
Huh? I do like when he's like, what does it smell like? Chocolate and pants.
It does kind of smell like chocolate and pants. I was like, what are you making?
What do pants smell like? Are they still attached to the meat that you're cooking? Like, that's real disturbing. But I do like that.
Leather.
Gross. Super gross. I do like though that we do, as much as Kevin and Randall made me mad in that fight, I like that we got to see a lighter side of them this week too.
Where was Kevin like when the twins got hurt? I remember when Jack got hurt. Like, I never saw him at the hospital. Did we ever see him?
No, he came in the hospital. Yeah,
he was at the hospital because Rebecca hugged him and whispered in his ear, "Can you fill out this paperwork because I can't seem to remember anything."
Oh, okay. I guess
or maybe something along those lines.
Maybe I went to the bathroom during that scene or something.
They had pulled.
I don't remember that.
They weren't there when Jack was missing because they were still driving around.
Yeah,
but they showed up at the hospital.
Okay, I guess I walked out of the room or something during that part. Missed it.
Yeah. But I did like how Randall like took Kevin under his wing and stuff because Kevin was getting on Toby's nerves. The one thing about Kate that I wasn't mad at this episode, this is the only thing that she didn't make me mad about, was when Randall said to her, "Do you want me to take Beth too?" And she said, "No, Beth's the least stressful person here."
I know, I love that part.
One and only thing in the past couple episodes that Kate has not.
Well, she also did ask Randall to take Kevin out because Kevin was driving Toby crazy. Yeah. So that was nice too, that she did just like, take him out of here. He's making Toby crazy.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what's weird to me too, because you do see that's why I say,
but like, it's only when
I don't hate Kate.
But see, here's the thing though, when she's nice like that, it's to her brothers because she wants them to see her a certain way. So I don't know that it's real. With Toby, I think is who she really is.
I do too. Yeah.
But I also like when Randall came in and she hugged Beth and then she hugs her and I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. It's a long one. Okay. And
Randall always cracks me up.
Beth grabbed Jack's hand. She's like, all right, let's go to this other room here and let that happen.
But I think that was Kate's. But I think that was Kate's way of once again playing the victim.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh,
because she's saying how sad she is that they aren't going to make it. She's not telling that she's the reason they aren't going to make it.
Yeah, they have no idea what this lady is putting this man through right now.
And all Kevin sees is the fighting when he's home.
Yeah.
And all the things that Kate is likely venting to him throughout the week when he's gone.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen
and asking Toby his side. He's not calling Toby.
What were you going to say, Shelby?
Because at this point, Kevin's still living with them, right?
Yeah, his bags were packed though in this episode.
The one thing I laughed about too was him going to Madison's house.
2
and
hours
he's
early.
like, Are you taking them somewhere? And she's like, well, you're 2 hours early.
But I like that she just like, oh, hey, how are you? Come in.
Yep. And then he's like, do you want to meet Elijah? Let's go meet Elijah. Oh, he's in my bedroom. And then she walks out like,
yeah, I know.
I was not sure what they're going to walk in on.
I know.
And whenever he's going to be in bed or something.
Oh, I know. I was so nervous. I was like, oh, like the way they're leading up to this, like what on earth are we about to walk into? And then when he was like fumbling with the jewelry, I was like, oh, no.
Did you guys have the same assumption Kevin did? Did you think he was stealing jewelry? Because that's what I thought. I thought he was doing something.
No, I thought so too. And then as soon as I know what a ring sizer looks like.
That's
so as soon as he turned around with that, I was like, oh, ew, no.
I mean, dude, 6 months. 6 months.
I know that's really early. I feel like really when she just had babies with somebody else. I feel like this is rushed. I don't think she'll get married to him. Do you think she'll get married to him?
She says she wants to.
I think she's talking crazy. I think she'll go back because she was liking some Kevin this episode.
Okay, so when Kevin went there that night to see the kids, I thought he was gonna kiss her, and I thought she was gonna kiss him back. And then she kept like following her out there, and at one point I was like, "Can you just let the man leave?
I know.
Let him leave. He's trying to be gracious about it. Let him go." But she's the one who kept calling him back and kept calling him back. And I was
like, see, it's still there.
I think if she says yes, it's just going to be because she's enamored in the bloom of new love and a new relationship, because this is a new relationship. You should not be saying yes to marry someone in 6 months into a relationship.
Not when it's
that kind of convoluted,
complicated in her life right now. I feel like this is a lot of complication to. Did she already have the babies when they're during their wedding? Yeah. I mean, how long ago was the wedding?
They had babies before the wedding.
Yeah, so the wedding is.
Elijah and her started dating like weeks after the wedding was called off.
Yeah, so I mean, it really hasn't been that long since she just had another wedding. I mean,
it's been maybe 7 months since her and Kevin broke up.
I don't hate Elijah. I really don't. No. I mean, I like the guy, but I just feel like it's rushed.
I think he's clearly a little forceful though, a little desperate.
Yeah, he does seem very
desperate.
Attached?
Desperate.
Yes.
The word is desperate.
It's a little cuckoo.
So after he finds Elijah in the bedroom ring shopping, Kevin's like, I don't know how I feel, but I know I don't like it. I'm gonna text her. And Randall just slapped the phone off his hand.
And then Kevin and his decisions.
Randall worded it so perfectly though. He said something along, I wish I remember the exact wording. Something along the lines of, you make whirlwind romantic decisions that send shockwaves over the world, or something like that. Something like that.
That's it. Yeah.
It is true, because Kevin doesn't think these things through. He acts on feeling alone, and those feelings aren't even accurate. Sometimes it's, in this case, I don't think it's that he wants to be married to Madison. I think that he doesn't want things to change at all from where they are. It's comfortable. It's easy. They get along. There's no pressure. And I think that he doesn't want that to change at all. So the fact that she's going to marry someone else means it's going to change. And I think that's what his biggest beef is. And I think Randall realizes that.
Yeah.
Dude, he's like, my life is about to change. And Randall's like, is it? Did you love her yesterday? How is your life changing? It doesn't change at all.
No, I mean, they're still your children. You're still going to have your visitations. You're still going to. I mean,
and clearly Elijah basically lives there right now anyway, so it's not going to be that big of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I I didn't get that part, but.
And then when he said, he's like, I just know when I think about it, I just know I don't want it. And he's like, so we're just gonna, and Randall said, we're just gonna drive around until that thought leaves your head. And that's why they weren't there and Jack went missing. So, I mean, they had Kevin and Randall together were so good this episode, just the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they appeared to back Kate.
Yeah.
I did. Okay, we also take a moment to talk about drunk Rebecca.
Oh my gosh. Jack and Rebecca this episode. I loved them so much. When he's feeding them turkey and mashed potatoes.
So much turkey, warm milk, mashed potatoes.
Are you trying to get our children sleepy?
I mean, clearly he should have tried harder to get them sleepy because they were not very nice to the babysitter.
Oh my gosh, they locked her in that room and they all worked together. How cute.
I do know that she was like, do you serve cute drinks? I heard you serve cute drinks. And he listed like 17. All of them, yes. I'm going to rock your world tonight. How? How are you going to rock his world when you're in a coma and you're falling down? How is it going to happen? Because I'm pretty sure you're going to be too drunk by the time you get out of here. And when the kids are like, what's wrong with mommy? What did he say? 2 fluffy ducks and a something. What was the other drink?
Yeah.
And the one thing too that cracked me up was she said something like, or he said something along the lines of that he can't wait to get home or whatever. And the kids were like, well, why not? And he said, because we're all going to sleep.
We're all going to get a good night's rest.
Yeah, that's how he said it. And then they said it to someone else. I forget. I think it was the babysitter. They said, when mommy and daddy get home, we're all going to get a good night's rest. And I just thought that was so funny.
That's why they were staying up. They wanted to rest with mommy and daddy.
Oh my gosh, children. That was so freaking hilarious.
So the reason that they got called back from their date early is because the babysitter was calling Kate Chatty Cathy. And then Kevin stood up for her by screaming, no, I will not go to sleep. And Randall quietly handles it and suggests what they could do. And they band together. But I like at the end when they're all in the bed together and Kate is saying, look, we thought it was bad. And look at what they did together. And he went, ruined everything.
His mind is still in that one place like a true man.
I mean, they did though. The one night, she even said it's the first night in 6 years she'd been out. The one night that she got to be an adult instead of mom. And she dressed up so very extremely fancy.
Wow.
Like so fancy.
I mean, Mandy Moore is just like making me girl crush on her more and more every week recently. And I don't know what happened. I feel like she's just getting hotter with age.
Probably. Plus, we've seen her sort of age. So, I mean, we know that she still looks good.
Yeah, true.
But I think that I agree with Jack, though, that it's when she said, what more could you ask for? And he's like, a lot more. And yeah, he meant it as a joke, but there's standing up for your siblings. Mm-hmm. Especially, it's different when you're a kid from when you're an adult too, by the way. Because when you're a kid, your instinct is just to protect your sister. As an adult, you know situations have different connotations and context. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between wanting to stand up for your siblings and wanting to be there for your siblings. If they were really to be there for Kate, they would have been, hey, do you think maybe you're taking this too hard? Do you think maybe you're being too mean? Do you think maybe you should see Toby's side? Like that's what it would be to protect your sibling then, because then you're protecting them in their marriage. They were doing that.
But I will give them though. I mean, I know they were kids and I know locking her in the bathroom wasn't the right thing to do, but that babysitter was terrible.
Yeah.
She was.
Agreed.
She was. I mean, shouldn't lock her in the closet in the bathroom.
As kids, it was adorable.
I thought it was funny.
Because as a kid, that is the protection that you give to your siblings. You protect them from other people. Mm-hmm. But because there's no other context as a kid. As a kid, it's just my sibling is getting abused or beat up, feels bad, crying, you protect. As an adult, it's okay, what is going on here? Why is this happening? What's being said? Who's happening? Who's doing what?
Yeah.
You think it through better as an adult. But as a kid, you don't do that. So as a kid, it's fine. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a difference. And I think that as kids, it's cute. I like that they did that.
All right. So next week, it looks like we're wrapping up the Katobi story, hopefully. So it looks like It looks like Toby might be maybe moving back, which I don't agree with.
No.
And it's
At
I
all.
hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't ruin his entire freaking career and everything for her just to still divorce him and carry on.
Mm-hmm.
That would just put salt in the wound.
Yep.
I mean, it would just make it 10 times worse if he lost his job, lost his freaking family, his wife, everything all at once. Like, what did Toby do to Dan? Like, I just need to know.
I mean, the one redeeming thing here is that Chrissy Metz said that she legitimately felt ill after doing those episodes. So, I mean, that says at least that Chrissy Metz is aware that her character sucks.
I know.
But in the preview, Toby says, I'm going to take the job in LA. I'm willing to do anything to make our marriage work. And the look on Kate's face when she says, anything? Like she's taunting him.
Anything.
But the tone of her voice and the look on her face, there's almost like a smirk when she says that. Like, I will punch you in the throat. He's sacrificing everything for you and you're still taunting him. What do you want from this man?
There's a theory in our group that I forget who said it, but that she's gonna anything comment, she's gonna get him to gain his weight back.
I saw that.
I saw that.
I don't think he'll buy that.
She'll do that. If she does that, then we're gonna have an entire bigger issue on our hands.
She's gonna be the most hated character in all of television if she does that to Toby.
Yeah, that she can't do that. That they can't do that.
I mean, they're already making her pretty well hated, so maybe that is the route to go.
You know what I find?
There's still a ton of Kate
just
fans.
bored. What, Joey?
You know what I find sad though? This Kate is loosely based off of Dan Fogelman's real sister.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly infuriates me more, because if this is a real person, loosely, if this is a real person,
yeah,
does
why is she in this world?
And the other crazy thing is that his sister she works for the show. Like she works on the show. So she sees what a terrible person this is. And to have everybody know it's loosely based on you. Like,
loosely.
Still, would you even want that partly based on you?
No.
I mean, old Kate, yes.
Yes.
But this Kate of this last season, she's so selfish.
Like, I don't know how they're gonna make us like be okay with Kate by the end of this. No. Like, I just don't see how they can do it.
She's if they do it, her kids and her husband, who is an incredibly decent man, just for the sake of selfishness. I don't think she deserves to marry anybody else if she does this. I think Philip should stand her up at the altar.
We'll get Kincaid from The Resident to
take her out. Kate. She's gonna be singing the Saturday Park song, and Kate's gonna come by and wham into her. I don't really want Kate to die, although I think that might be happening, and I think that might be what pushes Toby over the edge. Because honestly, I think that if they get divorced, it's been confirmed they're getting divorced. I don't think Toby will ever be with anybody else. I genuinely think that she's going to break him, and that she will be the only one he ever wants to be with. And so I think that she might die in the end, and her death is what's going to spiral him. Even if they divorce. I think so, yeah. But the other thing that happened in the preview is Toby looks at her and he's crying again. And we see Kate cry a couple times in the preview, but it's no real emotion. I feel like it's just to get attention. And she says, I was married to a man and we loved each other, but it wasn't enough. No, you didn't. The problem is you didn't love him. That's why it wasn't enough. Because only one side loved. The other side didn't love.
But Toby wasn't willing to give anything.
No, that's not love. Love it's compromise. It's both sides. It's doing things you don't want to do sometimes because it's better for the other person. That's what love is.
Yeah.
Kate doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't know how to do anything that's better for someone else unless it's good for her. And that is not love. But in this preview, Toby is crying and he's looking at her and he's saying, this can't be the end of this can't be how our story ends.
Yeah.
And then that's the last thing you see in the preview. Like, it's just.
So let's get ready to be mad next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real mad. So I think that's not as mad as we can get. I think we're gonna reserve our best anger for next week. when there is more of us and we can seem more like an angry mob. So we're going to do that next week. Dan Fogelman, dude, seriously, don't ever give your address out to anybody.
No.
I'm not threatening you directly. I'm just saying there are other people in the world that might come at you. So next week we have 911 and 911 Lone Star coming at you in one episode. I hope you guys are liking how we're breaking these down, so it's a little easier to take in and to watch or to listen to. So you'll see that one episode next week, and you'll see another episode of This Is Us and The Resident next week. Both come out on Sunday, and you will see another medical. I know it doesn't make sense that I call it Medical Wednesday because it's an M and a W, but Medical Wednesday, Station 19 and Grace on Wednesday. So there's that. Watch for those. And you can join our Facebook group of This Is Us, Pearson Family Fan Club, or the Resident Chastain Family Fan Club. Lots of members in those group. But we want to remind you that if you join This Is Us, be kind, do not be petty, and we're all adults having conversation about a fictional show.
No fat shaming.
Yes. So just remember that if you join our group. But we'd love to have you over there. Conversations are Let's get join our resident group and we'll start more conversations there. We need that group. The group used to be so active and now it's kind of quiet. So let's get people excited again.
Yeah.
So join us over there. And on that note, we'll see you in a week. Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye. So if you guys want to find us on Facebook, all you have to do is search in Facebook for Family Fan Club. All 15, yeah, I said 15 of our groups are going to pop up for you. You want a specific group, you can always go check out our podcast pages. We will have our groups listed in there. And you can find us on any of our social media, which is Twitter and Instagram and TikTok as Fandom Family Chats. And we are constantly trying to get you fun content. Jeanette is our TikTok wizard, trying to get you fun videos there. Usually has a lot of dudes on there. So there's there's that for you. We have our Twitter and Instagram is not as active as we'd like it to be, and we're working on that, but still, if you have any questions for us, if you want to get involved with what we're doing, if you want to know more about what we do, or maybe some interviews we have coming down the pike, you can hit us up on any of those resources, or you can email us at familyfanclub2021@gmail.com. We check that almost religiously, so reach out to us there and we'll get back to you. Watch out for our website coming soon. We're going to have some merch available for you if you'd like to wear some of our show merchandise for family fan clubs and Fandom Family Chats, as well as we're going to make some FFC merch for some of the shows we're on, like Teen Wolf or Vampire Diaries. We're going to have some fun things for you there. So watch out for that. Keep an eye out for that. And if you are able to, look at our YouTube page, subscribe to that, and keep an eye on our Facebook page. We have Fandom Family Chats. We're going to be making some announcements here in the near future about a big, huge event we've got coming down the pike in June of 2023. So, watch out for that. Get ready to listen to some crazy stuff next week again, and we'll see you real soon.